Nanook traipsed through the powdery snow. His caribou parka was wrapped tightly around him. It was his job to feed the dogs each day. He also had to give them fresh water twice daily. Within an hour, the water would be frozen again. The Inuit family's dogs were the most important possession. The dogs were used to pull the sled, which was one of the family's only form of transportation to travel the short distance to the village. Naoak's father had died in a hunting accident the year before. Now Naoak, his sister, and mother lived with his grandparents. All three generations of the family lived in a tiny house built on skids. "How are you doing?" Naoak said as he rubbed Cato's ears. Cato was the Alaskan Husky and the powerful lead dog in the team. Cato yipped and tucked his nose under Nanook's arm. After feeding the dogs, Nanook headed back to the tiny house. His belly was empty, and he knew his family was hungry too. In the kitchen, he noticed the worried look on his mother's face. He knew the cupboards were bare. More importantly, he knew how much it hurt his mother to be unable to provide a meal for the family. That's when Naoak made a decision. The river had iced over, but Naoak knew there were many cod, rockfish, salmon, char, and trout swimming beneath the thick ice. He pulled up on his snow pants and his caribou parka. He slipped out the side door. Naoak strapped the harness on each dog and hitched the team to the gang line or the main line that pulled the sled. Cato waited patiently, but now Hook could tell he was ready to pull the sled on his command. Now Hook loaded the fishing gear and a hand-turned drill onto the sled. The drill would be easy to bore a hole through the thick ice that covered the river. Finally, now Hook called loudly, "Hike!" and Cato knew it was time to pull the sled. The 2-mile ride passed quickly, and Naoak was soon at the river's edge. Across the ice he trudged, using his hand drill. Naoak cranked it around and around until he had a tiny hole started. Then he used a thin-bladed saw to cut the hole larger. Finally, it was big enough that Naoak knew he would be able to pull a fish through it if he caught one. Naoak dropped the hook into the water and waited for what seemed like an hour. Soon he felt a slight tug, then a sharp tug. Naoak jerked the line the way his father had taught him. He pulled the string tighter and tighter until he pulled up a beautiful Arctic char. The char was brown on its back and creamy-colored spectacles. Its underbelly was colored the familiar bright orange. The char was heavy as he pulled it through the hole in the ice. Naoak tied it tightly to his sled and went back to the hole in the ice. He dropped the hook again and waited patiently. Soon Naoak landed another heavy Arctic char, which he tied next to the first. Naoak headed home to clean and gut the fish. Cato and the rest of his team would eat well tonight on the guts of the fish. Naoak's mother would have a smile on her face, and the Inuit family would eat a tasty meal of fish tonight.